BI connector versions 4.9 and later support configuration with the command line interface, or CLI. With CLI commands, you can execute a range of actions, including activating licenses, managing DSNs, managing BI connector advanced settings, and more. IT teams generally prefer unattended or automated configuration setup from the CLI rather than using the user interface directly. In this video, I'll demonstrate how to manage your BI connector setup from the command line interface. There are 19 CLI commands in total, in the following 4 categories: managing your BI connector licenses, configuring BI connector DSNs, managing the subject area and reports in DSNs, and managing BI connector advanced settings. I'll list the commands in each of these categories, after which I'll demonstrate how to execute each one. In the first category, managing your BI connector licenses, there are 6 commands: activate license online, view license online, deactivate license online, create offline license, activate offline license, deactivate offline license. The second category, configuring BI connector DSNs, includes 5 commands: Create-DataSource, Get-DataSource, Update-DataSource, Delete-DataSource, and Test-DataSource. The third category, managing the subject area or reports in DSNs, includes 6 commands: Add-SubjectArea, Get-SubjectArea, Delete-SubjectArea, Add Report, Get Report, and Delete Report. And in the fourth category, managing BI connector advanced settings, there are 2 commands: Update-AdvancedSettings and Get-AdvancedSettings. Here are the prerequisites for using CLI commands. You'll need a 64-bit ODBC console. Commands must be executed from the command prompt in the folder that contains the file biconnector.cfg.exe. This file is usually located in Program Files BI Connector. In order that the commands will be executed correctly, you must enter the appropriate inputs in the JSON files in the CLI Samples folder. This is a subfolder in the BI Connector folder mentioned before. As an example, I have the input file activate-license.json in the CLI Samples folder. This file contains my license key and other details required for license activation. So when I execute the activate license command from the CLI, BI Connector will activate the license using the details in the JSON file. Most of the other CLI commands work the same way, with a command that points to one of the JSON input files. There are some commands that don't require any additional input from a JSON file, such as the view license or deactivate license commands. Now I'll demonstrate how to execute each CLI command. I have open the BI Connector folder that contains the BI Connector cfg.exe file. In the address bar, I'll enter cmd to get the command prompt. For each of the following commands, I'm starting by entering BI Connector cfg.exe followed by a space. The commands in this section are for managing your BI connector licenses from the CLI. As mentioned before, the Activate License JSON file has the necessary details for activating a license from the command line interface. In the CLI, after the exe file and the space, I'm entering a /, then the activate-license command, followed by another space. Next comes, in quotes, the path to the CLI samples directory for the file I'll be activating, followed by the file name of activate-license.json. After pressing Enter to execute, the output message confirms that the license is activated successfully. I can also see the license's validity period, which in my case is a permanent license. To deactivate a license that was activated online, I'll start after the space after the exe file and enter / deactivate-license. No other inputs are required for this command, so I'll press Enter and see the confirmation message. Offline activation of a BI connector license from the CLI requires 2 steps. The first step is to create the offline activation file. I'll start after the space and enter the command create-offline license. Then, after another space, I'll point to the CLI samples directory, followed by the file name of create-offline-license.json. The message indicates that the offline activation file was generated successfully and that I can find the file in Program Data, Guidance, BI Connector, License. Here is the URL where I need to upload this file. I'll copy the URL and paste it into my browser, click the Choose File link, and browse to the license folder specified in the output message. The file I need to upload is offlineactivationrequest.json. After clicking Activate, I get a success message, and the responsefile.dat file is generated and automatically downloaded to my Downloads folder. This file and its location are needed for offline license activation, which is the next command that I'll show. In the previous command to create the offline license, the result was a downloaded file called responsefile.dat. This file is needed to activate the offline license. In my CLI, after the space, I'll enter the command activate-offline license, followed by another space. The location of my response file is in Downloads, so I'll enter the path C, Users, Username, Downloads, responsefile.dat. After pressing Enter, I'll see my license activation message. Viewing a license, whether activated online or offline, requires just a command and no additional input because you're retrieving existing information. In my CLI, I'm entering view-license after the space. After pressing Enter, the output message includes my license key and user details. Similar to activating a license offline, deactivating a license that was activated offline requires 2 steps. The first is to generate the request. In the CLI, I'm entering the command deactivate-offline license with no other input required. After pressing Enter, the output message tells me that I can find the offline deactivation request file in the Program Data, Guidance, BI Connector, License folder, and provides the URL where I need to upload this file. I'll copy this URL and paste it in my browser, and upload the deactivation request file from the license folder listed in the output message. After clicking Deactivate, I see the message that the deactivation was successful. The commands in this section are for configuring your BI Connector DSNs from the CLI. The command for creating a DSN with no added subject area or report is create-DataSource. But before executing this command, it's important to make sure that the create-DataSource.json file has the correct inputs, because some input parameters need a specific set of values. Here are the requirements. The data source type can be either subject areas or reports. In my example, I'll be creating a subject area DSN called Northwind. If there is no single sign-on configured for the OBIEE, the input file must be a set of empty quotes. If single sign-on is configured, the input can be one of the following: default, OAM, WebAuth, WebAuth with SAML, Windows Native Authentication, and Taleo. If you're creating a reports DSN, you can include or exclude the reports located in the My Folders folder with a simple yes or no. In the CLI, I'm entering the create-DataSource command, followed by the input file location and name of the create-DataSource.json input file. After pressing Enter to execute, I see the message that the data source was created successfully. And I can see the new Northwind subject area DSN in the User DSN tab of my OTBIE console. You can also use the create-DataSource command to create a DSN and also add a subject area or report. To add subject areas, the JSON input file is Create-DataSource with subject areas. The data source type is subject areas, and for the subject areas parameter, you can list one or more subject areas separated by commas. To add reports, the JSON input file is Create-DataSource with reports. The data source type is reports, and you can choose whether to include the reports located in the My Folders folder. In the report list and report folder list parameters, you can add the path to specific reports or report folders from shared folders as well, provided you have the necessary access in OBIEE. The Get-DataSource command and Get-DataSource JSON file can be used for retrieving the information used to configure all DSNs or a specific DSN. In the input file, for a specific DSN, list the DSN name as the data source name parameter. In this example, I'm looking for information on the Northwind subject area. For information on all DSNs, this parameter should be all. In the CLI, I'm entering the Get-DataSource command, followed by the path to the Get-DataSource JSON file. After pressing Enter, I have the details for the Northwind DSN I specified. The Test-DataSource command is used for checking the connectivity to the BI server. No input file is needed for this command. You just need to enter, in quotes and separated by spaces, the DSN, OBIEE username, and password. After pressing Enter, I have a message that the connectivity to the BI server is successful, along with other DSN details. To update a DSN, the input file is Update-DataSource. In the data source name parameter, I've included the DSN I want to update. The rest of the parameters will be used to update the DSN referred to in the data source name parameter. In my CLI, I'm entering the Update-DataSource command, followed by the path to the Update-DataSource JSON file. After pressing Enter, I see that the data source was updated successfully. To delete a DSN, the input file is Delete-DataSource, and the name of the DSN to delete should be listed as the parameter for data source name. In my CLI, I'm entering the Delete-DataSource command, followed by the path to the Delete-DataSource JSON file. After pressing Enter, I see that the data source was deleted successfully. The commands in this section are for managing your subject areas and reports in DSNs from the CLI. The Add-SubjectArea input file is used for adding a subject area to a DSN. If more than one subject area is to be added, separate them by a comma. In the CLI, I'm entering the Add-SubjectArea command, followed by the path to the Add-SubjectArea JSON file. After pressing Enter, I see that the subject areas were added successfully. To view the list of subject areas added to a DSN, I'll enter the Get-SubjectArea command in the CLI, followed by the path to the Get-SubjectArea JSON file. After pressing Enter, the output message lists the added subject areas. The Delete-SubjectArea JSON file is used as input for deleting one or more subject areas. For specific subject areas to delete, you can separate them by commas in the subject area parameters. To delete all subject areas, this parameter should be all. Or, to delete all, you can point the command to the Delete All Subject Areas JSON file. In the CLI, I'm entering the Delete-SubjectArea command, followed by the path to the Delete-SubjectArea JSON file. After pressing Enter, I see that the subject area was deleted successfully. The Add Report input file is used for adding reports. If more than one report or report folder is to be added, separate them by a comma. In the CLI, I'm entering the Add-Report command, followed by the path to the Add Report JSON file. After pressing Enter, I see that the reports were added successfully. To view the list of reports added to a DSN, I'll enter the Get-Report command in the CLI, followed by the path to the Get Report JSON file. After pressing Enter, the output message lists the added reports and folders. The Delete Report JSON file is used as input for deleting one or more reports. For specific reports to delete, you can separate them by commas in the Report List and Report Folder List parameters. To delete all reports, both of these parameters should be all. Or, to delete all, you can point the command to the Delete All Reports JSON file. In the CLI, I'm entering the Delete-Report command, followed by the path to the Delete Report JSON file. After pressing Enter, I see that the reports and folders were deleted successfully. The commands in this section are for managing BI Connector Advanced Settings from the CLI. The Update-DataSource JSON file is used for changing the settings in the Advanced Settings window. You can change values or set parameters to true or false as needed. In the CLI, I'm entering the Update-DataSource command, followed by the path to the Update-DataSource JSON file. After pressing Enter, I see that the updates were successful. To see the current advanced settings, I'm entering the Get-AdvancedSettings command in the CLI. No additional input is required. After pressing Enter, I have the list of settings. This concludes the list of CLI commands you can perform in BI Connector. Looking to connect self-service analytics tools to OBIEE, OAS, and OAC data sources? Try BI Connector. You can download the latest version from biconnector.com. To keep up with the latest from BI Connector, click the subscribe button of the BI Connector channel and click the bell icon to get notified about new videos.